What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and so I got a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to just get right to it, and I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible because there is a lot, so I'm going to try and keep it as concise as I can. So first thing I want to talk about is the fact that or let's talk about Juwan James and Xavier Howard a little bit. So first and foremost, it would seem from reports and, testimonies from like Greer and so on and so forth, that Xavier Howard and Juwan James are definitely high priorities going into free agency. Now, James should hit free agency this year. They haven't met with his agents quite yet, so there's not a whole lot of information there. They do intend to meet with his agent after the combine. As for Xavier Howard, they have met with his agent already, and apparently things have gone well so far, but they are looking to continue that obviously as time goes on. But they are both super important. I think that they need to sign both of them absolutely. Going into this whole change of command and so on and so forth and this so-called rebuild, I've been saying this whole time that it doesn't need even with the coaching staff, right? Like, you guys know how I feel about Adam Gase and how they handled that, but even that aside, and with the new coaching staff, because I do think the coaching staff was assembled well and so on and so forth, we have a good nucleus of players on this team, both young talent and veteran players, and I don't think we need to go into a tanking situation or a complete rebuild. It's unnecessary. That's why I've been saying, like, why do we need to create holes that don't need to be created, right? So they need to be locked down. They're both really young players. They're both still, entering or in their prime, and, they're super important positions. Our offensive line is obviously one of our weakest positions or groups, at this particular point, and cornerback is a premier position as well, and we only have one, well, besides Bobby McCain we know is our nickel. We've got that down. He is good to go. And we have some, intriguing young talent coming up behind them with Cordray Tankersley and Cornell Armstrong and some others, right? So they can continue to develop, but we need another guy opposite Xavier Howard right now, because we don't really have that. So getting rid of him, trading him, or whatever have you would not be a good idea. We need to lock him down for the next several years. He led the league last year with 7 interceptions, even though he didn't play in all the games. Now, I know there are some concerns about the fact that he hasn't played, but look, man, they need to lock him down. Obviously, you can structure the contract in certain ways. You can make incentives. You can do it so that way, like, if he misses games, he loses, certain parts of, whatever. There's different ways you can do it. So there's smart ways to go about that, right? The other option is he can play out his contract, because he does still have next year on his contract, and then they could franchise tag him. But that's stupid. There's no reason to do that, because, again, the salary cap keeps going up every year, and so the price and people sign every year, right? There's always players that need to be signed, and players that think they should be signed as the best in the league, right? And so the new standards get set every year. The market always changes, and for the most part, on average, it goes up, in large part due to the fact that the salary cap always goes up, right? So now is the best time, and before he can test free agency, before you get into a bidding war with other teams and so on and so forth, or get stuck in a position where you have to play. He plays on a 1-year deal, that pays him, possibly even more than what you would give him on a year-to-year basis, depending on how you structure it and everything, right? Just make him the top 3 paid corner this year. Before he gets to that point, lock him down now. One of the biggest issues with this team is they don't lock down drafted, homegrown talent that ends up playing really well for them, for us, before they, their contracts are done, and before they can start testing free agency and inflate the price and gain leverage and all that stuff, right? So they need to lock him down. They need to lock him and James down, point blank, bottom line, period. So moving on, just some news from the combine, and some behind the news kind of stuff. Apparently they have already met with Kyler Murray. Obviously they're doing, they're going to be doing tons of interviews, but there have been reports that they have met with Kyler Murray and intend to continue talking with him. And there have also been reports that they are going to meet with Daniel Jones. Both of those obviously are quarterbacks. Also, in other sort of related news, there have been talks about how Trey Flowers, pass rusher from the Patriots, might be on the market. I do not, and the Dolphins have been, in reports and articles and stuff, linked to possibly being the team that picks him up. Absolutely not. Do we need pass rushing help? Yes, but we need to get it in the draft, right? And we need to continue to develop some of the young guys that we have, like, let's say, Charles Harris, and we need to hold on to some of the savvy veterans like Cam Wake and William Hayes. Get rid of Andre Branch, save a good chunk of money there. If you want to get rid of Robert Quinn, I don't hate it. Him and Devontae Parker, to me, are in the same boat. If they get rid of him, I don't care. If they keep him, I don't care. But I'd be happy to get rid of him and, draft a pass rusher, in the early to mid rounds. And then, you can pick up another one as an undrafted free agent, or another two, right? So, yeah. I absolutely would. I mean, because, look, you're going to have to pay. I mean, what would be the point of that? Especially, like, if you get rid of Quinn and Andre Branch to save money, which I think Quinn would save like 12 or 13 million. Andre Branch, I think, was 7 million. I can't remember the numbers. I reported that earlier in a previous video. But why would you do that and then pay like 13, 14, 15 million for another pass rusher? And he's old. He's getting old, No. So definitely do not think that should be a thing. Like I said, in free agency, I don't want them to do very much. If anything, just sign some of the free agents, some of the guys in-house, like, let's say, Juwan James. Absolutely. I would, keep Danny Amendola. Like, there's other guys, right? So if anything, just sign some of the free agents, and then maybe if you can get some decent guys on a relatively cheap deal, then yeah, bring them in. I do not think we should be in the free agent market for a quarterback. Absolutely not. I think we should take one in the draft in the middle rounds. So somewhere between like 3 and 5, right? And that's it, right? So I do not want us to be super active in free agency. I want us to continue to build through the draft. That is the best way for teams to have long, sustainable success, is to have success in the draft and then supplement through free agency, not the other way around. It is not a good idea to build in free agency and then supplement in the draft. That's terrible philosophy. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into some breakdowns of the players and stuff, and some of the highlights or whatever from today's combine, some specific players. So today was like running backs and offensive linemen. As you guys know, I don't really give a shit about the running backs in this particular draft. If they take a running back, I think it should be as an undrafted free agent, or at most in like round 6 or 7. But I think we have other higher priorities to address in the actual draft, and we could take a running back, and should take a running back as an undrafted free agent. Same thing with like wide receiver, right? Yeah, definitely. But as undrafted free agents, don't draft them. We don't need to draft those guys. Anyway, so combine day 1, O-line, running backs. I found some breakdowns of a bunch of players from Daniel Jeremiah, I believe, from NFL.com. And so I'm going to get right into that. So O-line first, there was left tackle Andre Dillon. He comes from Washington State. He was a 2-year starter, 6'5", 315 pounds. He ran a 4.96 40-yard dash, which is really good for a big guy. left tackle. We obviously don't really need, Daniel Jeremiah says he's the best left tackle in the draft. Obviously we don't need a left tackle. Laramie Tunsil is our dude, and we expect to keep him around, and should, you know, when his contract is, you know, when he's on in the last, they can do his 5th year option, which would be a good idea, but then, or which wouldn't be a terrible idea. I honestly would say you should try, if, you know, at all possible, to lock him down in the year before that, right, in his 4th year, which is next year or this upcoming year. Anyway, lock him down before that. But if you do the 5th year option, that's not terrible, but then you obviously need to lock him down. So left tackle, we don't really need that. Obviously we do need an offensive lineman though. So I wouldn't really look at Andre Dillard as an option. He's probably going to be gone in the 1st round. I wouldn't take him in the 1st round. This next player though, is Garrett Bradbury. He's a center. He's from North Carolina State. Daniel Jeremiah said he's got quickness and lateral ability. And those were some of the highlights. He said that he could be a 10-year starter in the league, and center obviously is one of the most important positions that we need to address in this draft. Interior offensive line, particularly center and left guard. And based off of all the guys that you know, I've seen reports on and so on and so forth, and from my information so far of offensive linemen, he would be the best choice, and he would definitely be somebody that I would consider taking with that 1st pick, number 13 overall. And then you have next is Cody Ford. He's a right tackle / guard from Oklahoma. He was said to have been he's said to be powerful and physical, but not really sure what position you would play him at. Does he have the foot speed to play outside at tackle? And Daniel Jeremiah said he could be a Pro Bowl guard. So if for some reason, you know, Garrett Bradbury wasn't there, he could be an option in the 1st round. But with that kind of breakdown, I would say, you know, maybe he's more of like a 2nd round guy. And you probably would want to take a better player at a different position of need in the 1st round if Garrett Bradbury is not there. It looks like out of the offensive linemen, Garrett Bradbury is going to be the one that we would take in round 1. If we were going to take somebody in round 2 or 3, it would probably be Cody Ford or Jonah Williams, who I'm about to talk about in a second, or maybe somebody else who's not, you know, rated or ranked in, like, you know, round 1 or 2 or whatever. Anyway, Jonah Williams is a right tackle / guard from Alabama. He's 6'4.5", 302 pounds, with 33 and 5/8 inch arms, which they noted was kind of small for a right tackle. But he does have quick feet. He ran a 5'1", 240. But there are questions on whether he would be a guard or tackle. This was another guy that Daniel Jeremiah said could be a Pro Bowl guard. So again, you know, another option, perhaps maybe in the 1st round, but more likely probably 2nd round if you were going to take him. And then so the next is running backs. I'm just, obviously, like I said, I don't care about them. I wouldn't take any of these guys when they would be when they will be drafted, because they'll probably all these guys will probably be drafted in the first like 3 rounds, so I wouldn't take them. I wouldn't take them. I mean, I guess I would take them if they fell to, like, you know, round 5 or 6 maybe, but that's probably not going to happen with these guys. So anyway, running back Mike Sanders from Penn State had a 4.49 40, shined in all of his on-field drills. He's 5'11", 221, and had 20 reps on the bench. He's smooth and explosive, and according to Daniel Jeremiah, he's the best back in the draft. Next is running back David Montgomery from Iowa State. He had a 4.63 40, and he's natural and instinctive. And then finally, running back Damian Harris from Alabama. He had a strong showing, a 4.49 40, 37-inch vertical, 10-foot 1-inch broad jump, and he had been compared to Mark Ingram, and can do a little bit of everything. So there you have it. That's basically day 1 of the NFL Combine. So obviously, as more comes out, tomorrow is another day. They got a couple more days over the weekend that they're doing the Combine. So as that stuff comes out, I'll make more videos for you and give you the breakdowns and tell you a little bit about what I think about the players, if I would take them, where I would take them, as you see as I did. So with that though, that does end my video. I don't really have anything else, although I am going to give you the Good Morning Football interview that Brian Flores did today at the end of this. So be sure to check that out. It was interesting. It was, again, pretty generic, but it is still early on in the regime, and so on and so forth. So it's to be expected. But it was good. It was entertaining, and it certainly stays in line with what they've shown so far, and so far I do like what they have shown. So with that, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys enjoy my show. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section, and as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.
New head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Welcome to Good Morning Football.
Thank you very much.
You have not made it yet until you're on Good Morning Football, so it's official now. Here you are, an NFL head coach.
Apparently I've arrived.
You've arrived. That's good. Coach, everyone knows you as a Patriots defensive mastermind, but they might not necessarily know your story. I'm fascinated by your story. You're a Brooklyn-born kid. Parents are from Honduras. You're first generation. Let the audience know a little bit about your story and your path from childhood kind of to the head coaching ranks.
Well, like you said, I grew up in Brooklyn, in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in a rough environment. I grew up in the projects in Brownsville, just to be blunt about it. Didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of love in our house. Great 2 incredible parents, and then, aunts, uncles. We spent a lot of time together as a family. But growing up in that neighborhood, there was really 3 things that I learned. One was you got to be tough. Getting a few scuffles when you grow up in a neighborhood like
Mike
that.
Tyson is from Brownsville, guys. All right, we'll go on from there.
I learned how to deal with adversity. We lived on the 20th floor in Brownsville, and every once in a while the elevator wouldn't work, so we'd have to get there, and then we had to walk up 20 flights of steps. So that was something. And the last thing, it motivated me. It motivated me to get me myself and my family out of there, and I think I did that.
Here we are. And now you're an NFL head coach. Obviously, the mastermind was in play at the Super Bowl, and you held the Rams, who were averaging 33 points a game, to 3 points a game. You win that game, and then the story I've heard, and it hasn't been confirmed, you guys leave the stadium, everyone gets on the buses, but Brian Flores, you start to walk to the hotel amidst the fans out of the stadium. Is that true, and what was that experience like? Final game with the Patriots, I'm going to walk home just to enjoy this with all of the fans.
That story is true. I was with my wife and 2 of my 3 kids, my son Miles and Maxwell. My son's Miles and Maxwell, and we just, we were just soaking it in, and we wanted to. It wasn't a long walk to the. It actually ended up being a pretty long walk. Longer walk.
It wasn't a long walk. It was kind of a long walk.
There were some hills there. We actually ended up walking a little bit, and we walked with us, and we just wanted the surroundings. It was an incredible feeling, and we actually ended up taking a pedicab.
Okay, all right.
Afterwards, after
good.
about 10 minutes of walking. My sons were a little. They got a little tired.
They were tired. They were winded. And now the Dolphins. I think this is a really exciting time for Dolphins fans. Turn the page. It's a new leaf, and they're getting someone from within the division who knows maybe some of the trade secrets up there in New England. Why should Dolphins fans be excited about the Brian Flores era here in Miami?
I think we've got we've tried to put together a really good staff. There's already a lot of great people in the organization, starting with the owner, Steve Ross. Chris Greer's been incredible, and I feel like I know that we're aligned as far as the things that are important to us, the core values that I have and Chris has and Mr. Ross has, as far as building a team. And, we want a tough, smart, physical team. And and we want good people in the building. We have that already, and we're going to bring more good people in, and we're going to bring in people who put the team first. And look, this is the ultimate team sport. And I'm excited. I love the game. I'm excited to be a part of the Dolphins organization, and I'm looking forward to getting started.
Free agency is going to come, and then the draft's going to come. You guys have the 13th overall pick. I know you can't speak much about the roster. Ryan Tannehill's been there for a while. Dolphins fans might be wondering, what are we going to do about the quarterback spot? Can you shed any light on who might be under center, or what you guys are looking at for under center, the most important position on the field in 2019?
Well, I've always said this. I think every position is important. Every position, every play, every phase, offense, defense, special teams, scouting, everything, equipment, all of it counts. We're in process. We're in the process of evaluating the team, evaluating the roster. The one thing I'll say is we're always going to do what's in the best interest of the Miami Dolphins. We'll put our team in the best position to win every week.
We had a bunch of Patriots players on after they won the Super Bowl, and Jonathan Jones was one of those guys. He was a cornerback. You might not know him at home as a household name, but good player, played well in the postseason. We said, give one word to describe Belichick, and he said, jokes. I said, jokes? And he says, Belichick's shadily funny. Like, you worked with Belichick for more than a decade. What's the one word you would use to describe Bill Belichick?
Discipline.
Discipline.
That would be the one word I would describe him as. And that's something that's important to him. It's important to me as well. Really discipline across the board. You need it to be successful in this, really in life, period.
I'm going to put you on the spot for Dolphins fans. What's the one word we should use to describe Brian Flores?
Humility.
Humility.
I would say that would be the one word. I think you got to have a team full of humble individuals. I think we live in a world where it's all about the individual. When you're stepping into our facility, it's about the team. And you need humility for that to happen. So we want a group of people, really from top to bottom, who don't have egos, who are putting the team first, and understanding that we live in a world where a lot of it's about me. When you step in the building, it's about we.
Whew. Davie, Florida, hello. I'm in. I want to run through a wall for this guy. Brian Flores, it's awesome having you on Good Morning Football. Thank you so much for that, and great message. And Dolphins fans, I think you're in good hands. Back to you guys in New York.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Why isn't he wearing those rings, Schraegs? Come on, love that. We love his story. You put him on the map for us and ones to watch, Brian Flores. Getting the gig.
All right, guys, it looks like you've reached the end of my video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the interviews. I hope you guys enjoy my show. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Make sure you leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Also, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. You can hit me up there, leave your questions there. Just hit me up, or check out my tweets, my retweets, so on and so forth. And so with that, guys, I am out. I will see y'all soon. Fins up.